Some men talk, others pull her in without a word. Not with lines, not with status, but with stillness, tension, and a presence that makes her question everything. Today, I'll show you how to become that man. There are men who walk into a room, and without saying a single word, everything changes. Conversations pause, heads turn, eyes follow, and women notice. But not because he said something clever. Not because he wore something flashy. He didn't have to. His presence did all the talking. He didn't need to chase anyone, because something about him made people lean in. You've probably seen him before. The man who doesn't try, but somehow always wins. And maybe you wondered, what does he have that I don't? Is it money, looks, status? No, those help, but they're not the core. The real answer is much simpler and much rarer. He's mastered the art of silent power. Because here's the truth most men don't want to hear. The louder you are, the more invisible you become. And the quieter you are, when done right, the more powerful your energy gets. You think women are looking for attention? Sometimes. But the ones who command the most attention are the ones who aren't giving it away to everyone. The ones who are selective. The ones who are present but detached. Intense but restrained. Focused but mysterious. And that's exactly what we're about to unlock. This isn't a video about game. It's not about manipulation, cheap tricks, or pretending to be someone you're not. This is about control, self-control, emotional control, presence control. And when you master those things, women don't just notice. They chase, and they wonder why. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you 5 specific ways to make a woman chase you, without even opening your mouth. Each of these ways is rooted in Stoic psychology, modern behavioral science, and yes, brutally honest experience. But before we get there, let me tell you a story. One that changed the way I see power, women, and silence, forever. It was in a rooftop bar in New York. Not a fancy one, just dim lights, some jazz in the background, and the usual crowd, a mix of corporate types, tourists, and those chasing Friday night validation. I was with 2 friends. One of them, we'll call him Jake, was the textbook definition of alpha. Loud, confident, always telling stories, the kind of guy women usually flock to. The other guy, quiet, calm, didn't drink much, sat back, observed. Let's call him Ethan, while Jake worked the room, bouncing from girl to girl, laughing louder than the music. Ethan just sat there, sipping his drink, barely making eye contact with anyone. No flex, no smiles, just presence. I watched something strange happen. The women Jake entertained, they laughed, flirted, smiled, then drifted away. But one girl, the one everyone was watching, kept looking over at Ethan. Subtly at first, then directly, she adjusted her position to be in his line of sight. She laughed louder when he looked her way. Eventually, she approached him. Why? Because Ethan did something that 99% of men are too scared to do. He did nothing. He didn't try to impress. He didn't chase. He didn't perform. He let the room come to him. That's when I realized, women don't chase men who chase. They chase men who are busy mastering themselves. And silence, strategic silence, is not weakness. It's power. Because it creates space. Space for mystery. Space for desire. Space for her to move toward you. So if you're ready to stop chasing and start attracting, let's dive into 5 psychological ways to flip the game. Stay silent and still make her chase you. But a warning. Once you understand these, you'll see how most of your past behavior was actually repelling her, not attracting her. And it's not your fault. You were told to be nice, be available, be open, but nice doesn't get remembered. Silence does. So let's start with the first way to make her chase you without saying a word, and it's probably the most misunderstood. Detached presence. Sounds like a paradox, right? How can you be present but detached? Most guys hear, be present, and think it means being emotionally available. Open, expressive, constantly engaged. But here's the truth. That kind of presence often feels needy. It screams, I'm here because I want something from you. And women feel that. It drains the tension. It kills the mystery. Detached presence is different. It's being fully there, but not fully accessible. Your body is there. Your awareness is sharp. But your attention? Selective. controlled, earned, not given away like a discount. It's when you look her in the eyes and listen, but you're not trying to impress. Not trying to steer the conversation. Not reacting like a puppy waiting for approval. You're observing, calm, composed, like a man who could speak, but chooses not to. And that silence, that restraint, that stillness, it triggers something in her brain that she can't explain. It's not intimidation, it's intrigue. You become the question she can't stop asking. And this is where most men mess up. They overinvest too early. They give too much eye contact, too much smiling, too much explaining, too many compliments. They're present, but it feels desperate. It's like they're hoping presence will buy them approval. But real masculine presence is quiet, slow, unapologetic. It says, I'm not here to win you. I'm here to experience you and see if you align with my standards. That flips the entire dynamic. Suddenly, she's wondering what you're thinking, why you're so calm, why you're not trying. She leans in more, she talks more, she works harder to earn your attention, because she senses that you're not addicted to her validation. And that's what makes her chase. One time I was at a networking event, not even a dating situation, and this woman approached me while I was just standing alone, sipping black coffee, not really engaging anyone. She walked over and said, "You look like you're about to say something important." I hadn't said a single word. That's detached presence. It's the power of a man who doesn't need to announce himself, because his silence speaks louder than noise. But here's the key. This isn't about pretending to be cool. It only works when it's real. If your mind is calm, your emotions are in check, and you've mastered the art of observation over reaction, your energy becomes magnetic. Women aren't drawn to men who are present because they're desperate. They're drawn to men who are present because they're sovereign. And that's what you need to become. Not a performer, a presence. So the next time you're in a room, with her or anyone, stop thinking about what to say. Start noticing more, speak less, observe everything, and let your silence build the tension. Because a woman can only chase what doesn't immediately give in. Detached presence is that tension. Controlled, centered, unbothered, and addictively rare. Way number 2, and this one is brutal if you've never tried it, is mastering the art of leaving first. Sounds simple, right? But this one burns the ego. It confronts your addiction to attention. Because let's be honest, most men stay longer than they should. In a conversation, on a date, even just in a glance across the room, they wait for the woman to exit first. They linger, they hesitate, they don't want to lose the opportunity. But here's what they don't realize. By staying too long, they signal that they need more, that they're not in control, that they're chasing. But when you leave first, when you walk away from the interaction before the energy dies, you create a powerful disruption. You break the pattern, you leave a gap, and gaps create questions. Why did he leave? Did he lose interest? Did I say something? Did he have something more important to do? That emotional gap becomes psychological tension, and tension is the soil attraction grows in. I remember a woman I met at a gallery. We spoke for maybe 5 minutes. The connection was sharp, her eyes were locked in, her smile was real, and just when the energy peaked, I said, "I need to catch up with someone. But it was interesting meeting you." And I left, just like that, no number, no closing, no waiting for approval. Her body shifted as I walked away, just enough for me to notice. And 3 hours later, she found me again. "Hey," she said, "you disappeared earlier. That wasn't an accident, that was timing." Leaving first isn't about being cold. It's about having purpose. It shows that you don't need to milk every drop of attention. You respect your time. You trust the seed you planted. You walk away not because you're playing games, but because you value your energy. That's what Stoic detachment looks like in real time. Most men overstay their welcome because they're terrified of unfinished business. They want resolution, validation, a clear yes, but attraction doesn't grow in certainty. It grows in suspense, and suspense requires interruption. Think about the greatest movies. The most gripping stories. They never end where you expect. They cut away at the peak. They leave you wanting one more scene, one more answer. And that's exactly what you need to become, not the full chapter, but the plot twist she didn't see coming. So next time you're in an interaction, and you feel like it's going well, that's your cue. Leave, not out of fear, out of strength, Leave while the energy is still rising. Before she disengages. Before you start reaching. And if she's truly intrigued, she will find a way to reopen the story. Because women chase men who walk away first. Not because they're rude, but because they're rare. Way number 3. The look that speaks louder than words. Most men look at women the same way they look at food when they're starving. Obvious, desperate, predictable. Their eyes dart. They stare too long. They break eye contact too fast. Or they look down like they've already lost before they started. But the right kind of look, the rare kind, carries more weight than an entire conversation. It's not the look of hunger. It's the look of awareness, power, selection. It's when your eyes meet hers not because you're seeking permission, but because you've already decided she's interesting enough to observe. Not own, not conquer, just observe. Like a sculptor evaluating the shape of a marble block before he even thinks about creating. There's no rush, no agenda, just stillness, precision, curiosity without attachment, and that difference changes everything. I've seen women melt under a single look, not because it was sexual, but because it was sovereign. A look that says, I see you, but I don't need you. And that creates a paradox in her mind. Most men's eyes say, please notice me, but yours say, I already noticed myself, now I'm noticing you. That's a different league. It's the gaze of a man who is fully aware of what he brings to the table and has no need to prove it. And when you combine that look with silence, when you let your eyes hold the moment without breaking, without forcing a smile, without needing to fill the air with noise, it becomes impossible to ignore. One night, at a small dinner party, I was introduced to a woman through mutual friends. We exchanged names. That's it, no forced chatter, no fake interest. But at one point, across the table, she caught me watching her. Not staring, just watching, calm, silent, and I didn't look away. Not in a creepy way, not in a needy way, just present, aware. She held my gaze for a second, then looked down. When the dinner ended, she came over and said, I felt like you saw more than you were letting on. She was right, I did, but I didn't need to explain it. That's the power of the look. And the secret is, it only works if it's real. You can't fake it. If your mind is anxious, your gaze will tremble. If your ego needs validation, your eyes will beg. But if your mind is clear, your emotions anchored, and your presence grounded in self-respect, your eyes will communicate it without effort. The Stoics believed in self-observation as a daily practice, not for show, but for truth. When you master that internally, your gaze becomes a mirror. And when a woman looks into that mirror and sees that she doesn't fully understand what's behind it, she becomes curious. And curiosity is the first step toward pursuit. So the next time you're around her, don't reach with your hands. Reach with your eyes. Hold, wait, let the moment breathe. Let her feel the gravity. Because if you can make her feel something with just a look, you don't need to say anything at all. Way number 4, the discipline of unavailability. Not to be confused with playing hard to get. That's childish, calculated, transparent. This is different. This is about being genuinely unavailable because you're consumed by something bigger than her. And that's what makes it irresistible. Let me break the illusion for you. Availability is not attractive. Predictability is not seductive. Accessibility is not exciting. A man who's always reachable, always replying, always showing up the second she wants him, that man becomes invisible. Not because he's not good enough, but because he made himself too easy to understand. And people don't chase what they fully understand. They chase what keeps them guessing. Most men are too afraid to be unavailable. They think if they don't respond fast, if they don't show up every time she hints, she'll lose interest, and maybe she will. But if she does, then what was her interest really based on? Your availability, or your essence? The truth is, real masculine energy is directed. It's focused. It's building something. And when a man is building, not pretending to be busy, but truly immersed in purpose, his time becomes scarce. His attention becomes currency. His presence becomes a privilege. And when a woman senses that your time is guarded, not in a spiteful way, but in a disciplined way, it triggers a different reaction in her. You stop being a man in waiting. You become a man in motion. And women don't chase men who wait. They chase men who move, because motion creates gravity. I remember a woman I once dated who was used to men orbiting her. She was beautiful, magnetic, the kind of woman who knew she had options. But with me, things were different. I didn't initiate constantly. I didn't make last-minute plans. I was available when it made sense, but I never bent my schedule. I never rearranged my priorities to fit hers. Not because I was trying to be difficult, because I had things I cared about more. And she noticed. One night she asked, "How come I never know when I'll hear from you next?" I looked at her and said, "Because I don't live my life around the next text." That moment shifted everything. Suddenly I wasn't just another guy. I was a standard, a challenge, a boundary. And boundaries attract, because they separate men from boys. Stoic philosophy teaches us to control what we can and release what we can't. When you practice that with your time, when you stop offering yourself like a product, you become a force. A man who values his own time becomes someone whose time others want. Especially women. So stop trying to be everywhere. Stop replying the second she types. Stop waiting around for her to validate your presence. Be somewhere else. Be with your purpose. Be in the gym. Be building something. Be refining your skills. Be hard to find, not because you're hiding, but because you're becoming. That's the discipline of unavailability. And it's not a trick. It's a standard. Because a man who's too easy to reach is too easy to forget. But a man who guards his time becomes unforgettable. Way number 5. Let her feel the weight of your absence. Not your silence, not your coldness, your absence. And yes, there's a difference. Silence is the pause between words. Absence is the removal of energy, of presence, of possibility. It's when your essence, your gravity, disappears from her emotional orbit. And she doesn't know why. She just knows it's gone. And in that void, something happens. The mind starts filling in the blanks. The heart starts remembering things more vividly. The imagination starts wondering where you are, who you're with, and why you're no longer within reach. That's the paradox most men never learn to use. They think showing up consistently is what builds connection. But sometimes, the most powerful move is to disappear, just long enough for her to feel the space you used to occupy. Because only when something is gone, can we measure its true weight. But here's the twist, absence only works if your presence had substance. If you were forgettable while you were there, then your absence is a relief, not a tension. That's why this is the final step, not the first. You earn the right to be missed by being unforgettable, by being present without chasing, by leaving first, by staying unavailable, by holding her attention without needing her validation. When you've done that, even a short disappearance feels like an echo that won't fade. I remember a woman I used to see casually, no drama, no intensity, just honest connection. Then one day, I stepped away, no explanation, no argument, I just vanished. Why? Because I felt it was time. I didn't ghost her, I just shifted all my energy inward. A month passed, then 2, then out of nowhere, I got a message. "It's weird how I still think about you. You weren't even trying." And that's the point. I wasn't chasing, persuading, posting cryptic stories to stay in her feed. I was just absent, fully, cleanly, intentionally. And that absence became the mirror she couldn't avoid. Because here's the Stoic truth. What disappears with dignity echoes louder than what lingers in desperation. Your absence becomes powerful when it's not about making her miss you, but about making space for your own evolution. When your absence is filled with growth, peace, purpose, it becomes heavy. Not needy, not manipulative, just real. So let her feel it. Let her wonder. Let her question why the silence feels louder now. Let her miss the way your energy grounded the room. Let her realize she craves something she didn't even fully understand while it was present. And if she comes back on a different level. If she doesn't, she was never really in your orbit to begin with. You don't need to slam the door. Just disappear like fog when the sun rises. Quietly, without drama, without warning. Let her chase the outline you left behind. That's the weight of absence. That's how you haunt without hurting. That's how you stay, without staying. So now you've seen the 5 ways. 5 things you can do, without saying a word. And none of them are tricks. None of them are fake. They're shifts, in energy, in mindset, in presence, detached presence, leaving first, the look that speaks, the discipline of unavailability, and the weight of your absence. 5 moves that most men never master, not because they can't, but because they're too afraid to stop chasing, too uncomfortable with stillness, too addicted to being seen. But here's the truth. She can't chase you if you never stop running after her. And she can't feel your absence if you're always trying to prove your presence. The men who are most desired are not the loudest. They're not the flashiest. They're the ones who know how to stand still in a world that's constantly trying to shout. They're the ones who don't explain themselves, who don't overstay, who leave the room with tension still in the air. And women don't remember what you said. They remember how your silence made them feel. They remember the mystery, the restraint, the untouchable calm. It's like fire, the flame that burns too hot, too wild. It's chaotic. People step back, but the flame that glows steadily, quiet, focused, warm but contained. That's the one people gather around. That's the one that draws them in. You don't need to chase her. You need to become that flame. Controlled, grounded, unapologetically selective. A man who doesn't beg to be seen, because he's too busy becoming something worth noticing. And if that version of you feels far away right now, good. Because growth starts where comfort ends. So here's what I'll leave you with. Don't try to become the kind of man who impresses her. Become the kind of man who makes her question what kind of woman she needs to become to deserve your time. That's the shift. And if you felt something during this video, if a part of you woke up, even a little, don't keep it to yourself. Share it, not for the algorithm, for the men who are still trying to chase, when they should be learning to pause. You know someone like that. Send it to him, or better, become the example. Because silence is contagious, so is presence. And maybe the next time you walk into a room, you won't need to say a single word, because she'll already feel it, and she won't know why, but you will.